Now that now
Okay,
that it fixes
here we
Outlook.
go. I don't hear anyone. Sorry?
They have the room on mute, so we can't hear the actual room.
Okay,
Yeah.
luckily you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
I can hear you. Hi, Sandy.
Okay, and you know, you people on Zoom know that you have to have your cameras on, so.
My
go-
camera's on. I think.
Excellent, excellent. No one may speak until granted the floor. Please raise your hand and wait for me to recognize you. It is important that only one person speaks at a time so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said. Members of the public, if you wish to give remarks during the public session and have not already registered by filling out a form, you can register to speak on Zoom by using the Q&A feature and posting your name, affiliation, and the specific topic you wish to speak about. If you're here in person to speak in the public session, you need to fill out our public speaker form, which is over by Brian. And this needs to be done by 7:15.
If you've already signed up online, though, you don't have to do that.
Okay. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office, was posted online, and appears on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Our secretary, Justin Goldberg, will now take the attendance by roll call.
1 minute. Right.
We will now take attendance by roll call. Board members, when your name is called, please say present. Tanya Arias,
Present.
Kyle Tide,
Present.
Neil Barclay,
Present.
Martin Barrett,
Present.
LB Barossa,
Present.
Daniel Bernstein,
Present.
Liz Burr,
Present.
Jim Collins, Stuart Desser,
Present.
Beatrice Disman, Maya Donahue, Robert Beardown, Barack Friedman,
Present.
Jason Bromwitz,
Present.
Eric Goldberg, Jonathan Goldberg, President, Gloria Hage.
Yeah.
Rabia Iqbal, Rabia Iqbal. Paige Judge. RuPaul Picard,
Absent.
John Keller,
Present.
Nate Kennedy, Nadine Kalani, Katie Lambda,
Present.
Sandra Leftoff,
Present.
David Levy,
Was that?
Anton Mullner,
Present.
Sandra McKee,
Present.
Alec Militic,
Present.
Richard Miss, Kevin O'Keefe,
Present.
Reshma Patel,
Present.
Stephen Perez,
Present.
Will Perry, Omer Qureshi,
Who's absent?
Marion Raw, Michael Ann Rowe, Lawrence Shire,
Present.
and Sullivan is absent. Sandra Sharon,
Present.
Rubin Siddiqui,
Present.
Laddie Simon,
Present.
Mark Thompson,
Present.
Gabriel Turzo,
Present.
Pat Valero, James Vera, Jerry Weinstein,
Present.
Sarah Whittington, David Woods,
Present.
Shuya Zhao.
With 36 of 50 members present, we do have quorum.
Our elected officials sent in their reports ahead of time, and they are compiled on the CB6 website. The link to the reports was sent out ahead of time, and for your convenience can be found in the chat on Zoom or by going to our website's page for full board meetings. I will now call on each of the elected officials who have RSVP'd so that they can take questions from CB6 members and the public from their pre-submitted reports. Each elected official will be able to field questions. If there are no questions, we will move to the next elected official on our list. If an elected official has a time-sensitive matter to report on that they didn't make into their pre-submitted support, they will have 3 minutes to do so. During this part of the meeting, we will also hear excuse me, from government agency representatives who have requested to address the board tonight. First on our list, we have Alex Garcia from District Attorney Bragg's office. Alex.
He has his hand raised. Alex, you should be able to speak now.
Why is my camera not on? Sorry, I'm having some camera issues. I'm not sure why.
I can promote you to a panelist and you should be able to have your camera on.
Okay, yeah, I kind of need to. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, I don't hope to delay anything or anyone. I do have some announcements to make. Someone had on behalf of the Manhattan DA's office. I'll get through those as quickly as possible. So, our office has announced the indictment of an individual for making terrorist threats against a central synagogue and the Jewish community on February 13th through 14th, 2025. The individual reportedly posted threats on X, including a plan to attack Shabbat services and identifying as the reincarnation of Hitler, threatening further violence against Jewish people. He was arrested en route to Manhattan. Our office, to quote District Attorney Bragg directly, nobody should have to fear their safety when they are in a house of worship, and the language allegedly used by the defendant is extremely disturbing. My office will remain vigilant against any and all threats to the Jewish community, and I hope our prosecutors and law enforcement partners for this work on this matter. Next, our office would like to announce the indictment of an individual for allegedly sexually assaulting 6 women in his Midtown apartment between 2024 and March 2025. The 116-count indictment includes charges of predatory sexual assault, rape, facilitating a sex offense with a controlled substance, assault, bribing a witness, and weapons-related charges. The individual allegedly raped and violently assaulted the women, threatening them, and used his position as an attorney to intimidate them. To quote Alvin Bragg, this investigation is ongoing. We have a reason to believe there may be additional survivors. Our talented prosecutors and investigators, as well as our specially trained counselors, are here to support you, no matter how powerful the person who assaulted you seemed to be. Please call our special victim submission hotlines, and I will also put it in the chat. It is 212-335-3400. Thank you. And lastly, our office would actually announce the sentencing of Midtown postal workers Destiny Anderson and her partner Anthony Johnson for stealing credit cards and checks from the mail. Anderson received 3 years of conditional discharge, while Johnson faced 1.5 to 3 years in prison. They both worked at the postal office at Rockefeller Building. That is it. Thank you.
Hey, good news and bad news. I guess. Do we have any questions for Alex? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to Bracha Rosenberg. Bracha, are you
Yeah,
There?
sorry, can you come back to me? I'm having technical difficulties on my end, but I should resolve them in the next few minutes.
Absolutely. Joanna Sanchez from Assemblymember Epstein's office.
Hello.
You got someone different.
Oh, okay. Harvey Epstein from Harvey Epstein's office.
I don't want to take Joanna's thunder, but I'm happy to talk.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to hope everyone's doing well. Happy mid-May. Just wanted to give folks, we had a really late budget this year. We just passed it last Thursday. Just wanted to give a quick update. It's in our report. But so there's a lot of things in there for the $254 billion budget. A lot of great stuff on housing we put in about supporting existing middle income housing, Mitchell-Lamas, reducing the tax rate for Mitchell-Lamas, a lot of money that we did for environmental issues. The bell-to-bail ban on cell phones in schools is a controversial issue that we were able to pass to make sure all public schools now are not going to have kids have phones during the school day. There's a bunch of things on discovery changes as well as a mask issue. I don't know if the governor really pushed for a mask change, and we did a minor mask change to make masks potentially a crime in addition to some other violation. But overall, the budget was a healthy budget and really lived up to our values on the housing, environment, education. We really put a lot of money into our schools, public safety, more supportive housing units, really switching away our existing 911 system to try to create a new system with the mental health response, with the higher education, the things that we've been talking about here in the board and the things that I've been fighting for. So I think we should all be proud. And for folks who are, making under 300,000 as a couple or 150,000 as an individual, you'll be getting checks later this year from the state. And I'm happy to talk about more about the budget, but I know you have a lot of people. The last thing I'll say is we have a couple upcoming events. We're doing what we call Hang with Harvey in June, and we'll have our last shredding for the spring on June 6th. If people want to come to our shredding event, it's in our e-blast and our newsletter. If you don't get our e-blast, you just sign up for them to get all the information about what we're doing in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Harvey. Okay, do we have any questions?
Thanks,
Stu?
Sandy.
First, thank you. Daniel's Law, I'll ask you if you could just briefly describe it. And then the question is what we can do. It's the intersection essentially of public safety and mental health. The question is what we might be able to do to help implement it in our district. It's my understanding that one reason that we often send dispatch police to 911 calls when there's an emotionally distressed person rather than a mental health specialist is because we just don't have the teams in our community district, and especially with night or available. So we do.
I can't say who's speaking, so I can't really see who's asking the question, but it's a really good question.
It's Stu.
Okay, great. Stu, so for people who don't know what Daniel's Law is, basically in the city of Rochester is a guy named Daniel Pruitt. And then so Daniel, who had real mental health issues, unfortunately, when the 911 called, the police responded, and unfortunately Daniel Pruitt passed away from his interaction with the police. And what Rochester realized and what we all realize is that sometimes the response doesn't need to be a police response, it's a mental health response. And so that's how Daniel's Law was created. And the city of Rochester, like Southern California now, has a real comprehensive approach to their 911 system. The answer isn't just the police. The answer is who's the best professional to respond to that. So we put another $8 million in to create a behavioral health crisis technical assistance center, which will help first responders understand how to respond to the mental health crises. So it's really upgrading our 911 system, really revamping it to make sure that we have the mental health professionals to respond to mental health episodes. So I think one is a training for our 911 system, which I think hopefully in this budget we're starting to move in that direction. And two is figuring out how we can fully implement Daniel's Law across the state. We put money in for supportive housing beds. We need more mental health beds. We put 200, basically another $30 million for supportive housing beds, another $20 million into inpatient mental health beds, and we changed the category on voluntary. So all those things together with a real 911 system will help us, I think, get in the right direction. I don't think there's a one size fit all thing, but I do know that unless we have the supportive housing beds at the end, we're never going to get to the place we need to be, because you can involuntarily commit someone, but sooner or later they're coming out. And the other piece is making sure that on the front end, like you said, too, it's that we have a real response that's driven by mental health professionals for mental health issues. Our police are not trained in that way. You know, like I'm trained as a lawyer, but never give me an intellectual property case. I would screw it up. Police are not trained to be mental health professionals. And we just know that, and we have better systems and structures in place. Sorry, it's a long question, but it's a long answer, but it's a really complicated question. I think we're going in the right direction.
Don't worry, the next two will be longer. The budget allocates 15 million to support changes in discovery. Wasn't substantially changed despite the governor's threats. Do you know what that 15 million is going toward?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what it's going to. So 5 million for the DAs in New York City, 5 million for the DAs outside of New York City, 5 million for the defense lawyers. And so basically they each get $5 million. And basically what we did with Discovery is what we heard in New York City was, especially from our DA, Manhattan DA, Bragg, we just had a representative on the phone a few minutes ago, was there were cases, let's say an example, there was a domestic violence case, and the person who was, who was assaulted handed over their phone, so they handed over all the evidence, but they found out that a friend of the survivor had a picture of the survivor on her phone, and they just didn't know about the picture, so they didn't hand it over. And they said a case like that was dismissed, where the DA attempted to provide all the outstanding information, but missed something because they didn't know it existed. So what we've done is there's a court case called People v. Bay. And in that case, it outlined basically the real specific standards of why cases should be dismissed or not. What we did is we took the standards of People v. Bay and put them into the statute. So to make sure that it was clear to all the judges how much were the obligations of the DAs to hand over, and if they handed that over, whether they complied enough to ensure that the case should go forward, and that some technical mistakes, like something like this, where you didn't hand over a photo you didn't know existed, that shouldn't result in a dismissal of the case. But if you don't comply with Discovery, you hand over police records. In that case, the People v. Bay case was they failed to hand over 911 records. They said it didn't exist, but it actually did exist, and in that case, the case was dismissed. So the judge wants to look holistically at the standard, and that's how we changed the Discovery to make clear that. The other change we did was, if the defense wanted to object to what the DA handed over, they had 35 days. There's a requirement under the law that when they're ready for trial, under the speedy trial rules, they have to submit a notice saying, hey, we're ready for trial. Within 35 days of that notice, if the defense team thinks there's something that hasn't been complied with, they have 35 days to compel it or ask the judge to dismiss the case. Under the current law, it was much more open-ended. So we wanted to give everyone a clear time frame, which is really what we're trying to do, is make sure all the parties have good information and clear time frames.
Basic question though is, what are those $5 million grants to defense the prosecutor going to accomplish? Are they for technology or?
No, this is for staff. So what we heard from the DA's office and the defense lawyers, they just needed more staff to help comply with the obligations under Discovery, more paralegals, more support staff. So both the defense lawyers and the prosecutors got additional funds.
Okay, thanks. Lastly, you come to speak with us frequently, and we really appreciate that. And you often take questions from us. You have, to my recollection, never asked us for anything. What can we do, assuming we agree with you, for some of your actions?
Yeah, it's funny because I do ask Sandy for stuff. Like, I'm like, give me a resolution in support of the issue we're working on. I've done that many times. And so I will continue to ask for things. I probably won't do it publicly in a meeting, but if there's an issue we're trying to get done legislatively, we're trying to, one example was, we're talking about moving to the climate goals, but we have no publicly available charging infrastructure in Lower Manhattan. We have no charging stations publicly available below 59th Street. So things like asking the city to put publicly available charging infrastructure in a part of the city, which is in the congestion zone, then we want people to move with electric vehicles. We talked about more money for, in the budget, we got more money for composting, making sure that we have more access to composting in our community, not just the composting that we're talking about on the street corner and the pickups, but also composting that goes to dirt like we have with the Lower East Side Ecology Center. There's all those things that, which when you guys are doing it, I really appreciate it. I asked about the casino, really wanted to hear back from the board about where you were on the casino. And the board, gave me a clear information about the casino that there's being proposed on First Avenue between 38th and 42nd. So I feel like we have a really good open dialogue, and I do appreciate the board's responsiveness to my requests. I also sit down with when you guys do your capital needs and operating needs, I sit down with the chair and we talk through what your needs are, and to make sure that if we're funding things that you've identified as needs in our community. So I guess I feel like I asked, but I'm happy to ask more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey.
Yes, we do what we can. Great. So no more questions?
Thank you all. Have a great evening, and we'll be, we're still up here in Albany, but we'll have about another month of the legislative session. So if there are bills you want us to move forward on, I have about a dozen bills I'm trying to get done. And the board, please let me know. We have about, about 25 legislative days left of the session.
Great. Okay. The final push. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We'll go back to Braca.
Hi, sorry about that. My computer decided to update, so I was on my phone and I wanted to get my notes back up. Hi everyone. The most exciting thing, which you'll see in the report, is that we have released our newest appointments for community board members. So welcome to all the new members. Everyone, please say hi. To the new members. I already feel like I know you from your applications and everything, because they were so good. But I'm excited to get to know you more, and you can always reach out to me as well. We had over 950 applications across the borough that our team's been working really hard on reviewing and making the final appointments, and some of the boards are still finishing up those. But we're very excited for these new members now. And then the rest you can really read in the report, but I've been getting a lot of specific questions about term limits from people on this board. So you can always ask me, but also information about maximum term limits is available on our website. I put instructions in the report on how you can find that, but that should answer your questions there. And we had a really wonderful AAPI event together with Assemblymember Grace Lee last week. And feel free to look on our social media for some more about that. And finally, the Stop Super Speeders bill that the borough president participated at a rally to urge Albany to pass it, because the statistics around reckless driving and accidents and pedestrian deaths are really, really alarming. So we are encouraging this legislation that would mandate speed limiter technology for the most dangerous drivers on our street. That's all I have. I'm happy to take any questions.
Tanya has a question.
Hi, Braca. I'm glad you touched on the super speeders. It's not only super speeders, it's people who don't respect the pedestrians on crosswalks. I personally have been run down on a crosswalk, even though I had the right of way. So the pedestrian's death and injury go above and beyond just speed. Is there anything else that you're doing, for example, like the timing of the lights at intersections and such, that might help? Thanks.
I don't know specifically about in terms of infrastructure timing the lights. That's something we can definitely look into, and perhaps our transportation team is already on it. I can definitely speak to them about it. I do know that we've done other things around traffic safety. We've worked extensively on ghost cars, cars that drive recklessly and use fake license plates that they can't get tickets. We have a whole package of recommendations that we've come out with around that, because that is not only costing the city revenue, but it's also costing people's lives. Killing two birds with one stone would be wonderful if we could cut down on that. And we're always looking for more ideas on how to make our streets safer for pedestrians and everyone on the roads. So yeah, please feel free to share ideas like that, and then I could definitely flag to our transportation analyst and our policy team as well to find out any more things that we're working on.
Thank you.
Great. Great. Thank you, Braca. Seeing no more questions, we'll move on to Justin Flagg from Senator Kruger's office.
Good evening. Nothing extra to report. I just want to point out that we uploaded 2 reports this month. One is our regular monthly newsletter that came out a couple weeks ago, and then one was our budget update from earlier this week that has a lot of detail about what's in the budget. So you can take a look at both of those on the website, and happy to take any questions.
Who has a question for you?
Evening. I wanted to ask you about the substantial equivalency standards. I'll ask you to just briefly explain what that is, and then I'll say that in our district, we don't exactly have a plethora of yeshivas. Does it somehow still impact the schools within Community District 6?
So just quickly, substantial equivalency are the standards that non-public schools have to meet the state constitutional requirement for providing a sound basic education. And this has been an issue often in relation to yeshivas and whether or not they're meeting that standard. And so this was an issue in the budget. I'll just say quickly that before I get to your specific questions, Stu, Senator Kruger was very opposed to the changes to substantial equivalency that were made in the budget. If you look at our budget update, there's a link there for a video of her speaking on the floor specifically about that issue. And I think she puts it very clearly, so I won't try to repeat what she said there, but you can find it there. In terms of this district, I mean, it applies to all non-public schools. So if there's any, private schools, even if, whether they're religious or not, they all have to abide by those substantial equivalency standards. So when we change the method by which those standards are met, then it does apply to those schools as well.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, thank you, Justin. We'll move on to Peyton Schultes from Senator Gonzalez's office.
Hi, I didn't add to my report, but happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions for Peyton?
Report was good.
Right. I guess we might have one question. Just I know now that MSBI is closed, we're wondering what the next steps are. I think everyone knows we're very concerned about the lack of hospital care in our district, especially the lower portion of the district.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something that the senator is working on in Albany to help us with that?
Yes, absolutely. One of our priorities obviously has been making sure that Bellevue has adequate funding, is able to have the increased capacity that it's going to need for the additional patients that will be going there. We're also continuing to fight for legislation like the LICH and statewide healthcare assessment measures that will help, change the ways by which some of these decisions are made. That won't necessarily undo the damage that's done by the closure of Mount Sinai Ministerial, but part of the goal with the statewide healthcare assessment legislation would be to identify healthcare distressed zones, areas that are in need of more investment, so that way more investment could be directed there.
And we do have a resolution in support of LICH, so hopefully it comes up again this year. Yes. Great, thank you. Any other questions? No, thanks very much. We'll move on to Mackie Dentley from Congressman Nadler's office.
Hi there, everyone. Nothing out of the board, but happy to take any questions.
Okay.
Report. I read all.
Katie has a question.
There was something in the report about Hochul's $50 million rental aid program. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so I don't have the details in front of me, but Congressman Nyler did write a letter in support of funding for is it HPCAP? I forget the acronym. But in support of adequate funding for that and, you know, light of all these potential cuts with reconciling budget. And, you know, adequate funding that for Hochul, there was a new state program that'll assist with rental assistance. From what I've seen, I don't know the exact details about it. I know some of my colleagues would have more details on that, but that was announced, I think, 2 weeks ago. But I'm happy to get more information and, you know, follow up on that if you like.
Okay, great, thanks.
I think it's like a Section 8, a statewide Section 8 type help, isn't it?
Again, it's been a minute, so I'm not entirely sure.
That's
but
what I read, but
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
but I'm happy to follow up on that.
Great.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll move on to Shinray Lee from the Independent Budget Office. Oh, great, thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sinray. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist from the New York City Independent Budget Office. So could I just get a show of hands who is familiar with our agency? Oh, good number of people, not the you know, still some stragglers, so I'm here to introduce us. We've been around, we are a city agency, but we are independent in the sense that we don't report to any elected officials. Our primary function is to provide data-driven information on government services, programs, etc., the budget, to the public and city council members. We do this through 3 charter mandated reports that come out in conjunction with the mayor's budget plans. So we are currently analyzing the executive budget that just came out earlier this month. Our analysis will be coming out in a couple of weeks, or actually next week. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we also do presentations. I'm a relatively new member of the team, so we're kind of doing more outreach. We're doing presentations at schools, so if you have a high school that wants to learn more about the budget, we can come through. And we'll also be doing a Budget 101 workshop geared towards community board members. I have some flyers over here that you can grab, or scan the QR code over there to register. There are 3 sessions to choose from. It's on May 28th and 29th. We'll be going through the structure, the process, timeline of the New York City budget. So if you don't know what, you know, PS or OTPS means, you should come. Or if you don't know what an expense budget versus the capital budget is, or how all that works, we'll go through that. And we'll also cover a little bit about how the community board needs assessment fits into the budget process. Yeah, apart from the charter mandated reports, we also publish reports year round about, we have 50 analysts who are experts in things from housing, environment, infrastructure, education. We released a report recently on the age of school buildings, for example, and how accessible they are. And there's a lot more reports. We testified recently on the street vendors permit cap. So go to our website, ibo.nyc.gov, and you can see what we have. And we accept questions from the public on the budget and any other budget-related data questions. We also provide like reports for council members and the public. So send us an email. My stuff's over there. Grab a flyer. Sign up for the Budget 101. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I highly recommend all of our new members sign up. I'm going to sign up too. but-
Yay. We'll make a day of it.
Yes, it's really important information
I'm really.
to have. Yeah. Okay, next we have Evelyn Collado from Controller Lander's office.
Yes, good evening. Manhattan Borough Director for New York City Controller Brad Lander. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. Tonight, I'd like to bring your attention to 2 of our latest reports. The first one is a contract primer. We released it as part of our efforts to provide the public with a straightforward related to the basics of city contracting workflows and essential solicitation methods. The document is divided into 3 overarching sections, including the primer with information on key entities in New York City contracting, an overview of the New York City contracting cycle, definitions of core contract categories and solicitation methods, and more. It also has a section on public resources, and the last section is a set of helpful tables for navigating the primer and running searches in the systems outlined in section 2. The other report that I'd like to bring to your attention is the Streets for People, Open Streets, and the Future of Public Space Management in New York City. In this report, we evaluated how the Open Streets program has evolved over the last 5 years, tracing the shift in the size, scale, and geographic locations of open streets over time, and documenting the various challenges that operators face in effectively managing and programming open streets. It is informed by an analysis of publicly available data, along with over 30 interviews with OpenStreet operators, public realm experts, and a review of global best practices for public space pedestrianization. The report proposes strategic recommendations to strengthen the program into a thriving fixture of New York City's urban landscape. For this and other audits and reports, you can visit us at comptroller.nyc.gov. Thank you and good evening.
Do we have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much. We'll move on then to Sophie Secor from Assemblymember Boras's office. Sophie, are you there?
Sorry about that. Yes, here. Nothing to add from the report other than we have free legal services that will be at our office this Friday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And that wasn't in the report, but I can take any questions from the report now if you have any.
Do we have any questions for Sophie? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to Spencer Kuhn from Councilmember Rivera's office. He's going to be accompanied by Katie Loeb.
Hi, everyone. Katie Loeb from Councilmember Rivera's office. I've been the CV6 rep for, 7 years now, and it's time to pass the torch. So I want to introduce everyone to Spencer Kuhn. He's been working in our office part-time for almost 2 years. So he's very well seasoned. He's very familiar with a lot of issues in the area. He's been working very closely on East 28th Street. So he's going to be the new CV6 rep. So I wanted to introduce him and say bye to everybody. I'll miss you on the second Wednesday of every month.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you all. As Katie mentioned, I've been working for Councilmember Rivera for a couple of years now, part-time, helping out with budget and outreach most recently, but shifting into CV6 liaison. Pretty familiar with the issues around here. I grew up in the village as well. Not quite in CV6, but close enough. So I'm excited to get to know everyone better, and yeah, look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Right. Do we have any questions? Just to, start off on a. Okay, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to the public session. Has anyone signed up to speak in the public session?
They have. Quite a few. All right. You will be granted 3 minutes to speak. We will start with Sean Lamoureux. Sean, are you here? Sean is a resident of Manhattan Community District 6 and wishes to speak to the board on increasing green infrastructure in Manhattan Community District 6. Mr. Lamoureux, you have 3 minutes. You may begin your remarks now.
All right. I live in Tudor City, and I did present a deck, but I guess it's not there. Basically, I would like to see increased green infrastructure in our community. As many know, this reduces heat island effect, absorbs floodwaters, enhances local biodiversity. It improves our mental and physical health. The more we dedicate public space to people and natural landscapes instead of asphalt and concrete for personal cars, our local economy grows, our property values increase and our streets become more livable. As also many people might know, in East Midtown, property values over $1,100 per square feet. So a single 15 by 20 foot area represents $350,000 worth of real estate. And oftentimes biking through and walking around, I see a lot of just barren concrete that we could be using for our benefit. So I've submitted 3 draft resolutions to the board. It's my first meeting, so I hope that's how it works. And I hope we can adopt it. The first one is near term, immediately fixing what's broken, replacing the 40+ missing trees where there is already a tree bed. And so, yeah, asking to have this completed as soon as possible, so they have the full summer to root. I did check New York City Parks, and they're planning on planting 7 trees in total this year in our district. And they do not take requests to plant trees. And medium to long term, as the city continues to daylight more intersections and leaves behind unused asphalt, we should be converting these spaces to useful green and public infrastructure. I'm calling for a modest goal of converting 7% of parking spaces annually, as the successful congestion relief pricing has already reduced 7% of cars in our central business district. And as a long-term solution, I'm calling for a bold redesign of our avenues that put pedestrians, transit, and community first. Our streets should reflect 85% of residents who do not commute by car, likely more with congestion pricing. And even the Third Avenue redesign proposal still indicates about 30% of the streets for private vehicles. We should design a street that reflects our values, not only incrementally better. I'm asking for 2-way bike lanes on all avenues in our district. As many people know, during commuting hours and weekends, bike lanes are already crowded, given the expanded recently and on First and Second Avenue, which is great, but yeah, it's still crowded. So yeah, and then I was curious too, like how often leaders plan on redesigning these avenues. If we're still leaving 30% to private vehicles, is it going to be another 5 years until we reduce it to 20, and then another 5 years until 10? So it would be great to just redesign once for the future. And yeah, I just love living in this area and think that we should build upon the success of congestion relief pricing to accelerate our transition to a more equitable and livable city. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. We did get your attachments. We will provide them to the committee. 3 minutes is not enough time to do them justice, but we will provide them to the board members for further review.
And we'll invite you to the appropriate committee to talk about them.
Thank you.
All right, it does seem like we've missed an elected official representative, so we're, with everyone's
We're
permission,
segueing back
we're gonna pop back to the electeds.
to Patrick Hill from from Councilmember Keith Powers' office.
Hi, everyone. I don't have really anything to add to our report. Aside from, I do want to add one correction. So we listed the Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza as our location for the shred event that we're doing later on this month on May 31st. That is the intended location. We're just waiting on confirmation from the Parks Department. So as of right now, that is TBD, but just wanted to make that correction that we'll get the confirmed location sent around to the board as soon as that is confirmed. But that'll be happening May 31st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Do we have any questions for Patrick? I don't think we do. Thank you very much.
Of course. Have a great night.
Yeah.
All right, back to the public session. Kat Hartley, Kat Hartley, are you here? Kat
Yes,
Hartley, I see her online. Kat Hartley is a resident of this district and wishes to address the board on the topic of food waste. Ms. Hartley, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Kat Hartley. As mentioned, I'm a community member. I wanted to talk today about food waste, specifically Bill 0299, which was introduced last year and aims to address the issue of food waste by reducing civil penalties and encouraging more food service establishments to donate leftover food. Over 1 million New Yorkers are considered food insecure, yet many of these food service establishments are throwing away over 50,000 tons of food collectively every year. And so a lot of this perfectly good food ends up in landfills, worsening both food insecurity in the community, but also climate change as well. There are existing Good Samaritan laws, but despite those They protect donors from liability, but many food establishments hesitate to donate because there are just unclear guidelines and a lot of logistical hurdles. So this food waste continues to contribute to rising greenhouse gas emissions. And then through my own volunteer work across boroughs, I've seen how food insecurity impacts communities, but more so just the stark contrast often between food waste on the street and food banks needing more food, often on the same block. This bill aims to reduce that food waste and improve food security by creating a more structured program, incentivizing businesses to donate that excess food with waived civil penalties on certain violations, and then clarifying more of those donation guidelines so that that fresh food is reaching hungry New Yorkers in need and not ending up in landfills. The bill is currently with the Committee on Small Business. It's been there since early last year. I've also been in contact with Councilman Eric Bottcher's office, who sits on the committee, and just am here today to ask you all to continue or to start supporting the progress of Bill 0299 so that we can reduce that food waste, fight hunger, and just build a more sustainable and equitable city for all New Yorkers. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your remarks. All right, the next 13 speakers are all speaking on one way or the other on the same topic, so we will start with those. Jeremy Barnum, are you here? All right, will you please make your remarks? You will have 3 minutes. You may begin now.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Barnum. I'm the president of Walmart. I want to focus my comments narrowly on noise issues associated with the proposed open air rooftop dance club. The New York City Noise Code says that, and I quote, "Unreasonable noise means any excessive or unusually loud sound that disturbs the peace, comfort, or repose of a reasonable person of normal sensitivities." The history of the space matters. When the code says a reasonable person of normal sensitivities, I can tell you I am significantly less sensitive than a normal person. And yet, when the music was playing on the rooftop before, I couldn't sleep at all. It was as if the boombox had been in my bedroom. The fact that the noise levels routinely violated the code suggests a steep uphill climb for the new owner to establish that the space will be code compliant. Another reason the history is relevant is that it establishes that 311 is a toothless enforcement mechanism. Many calls were made and nothing changed. If the rooftop dance club is not code compliant, we are facing years of sleepless nights while we wait for the city to enforce. So it is imperative that the developer establish with certainty that the procedures will be enforceably code compliant from day one. In that context, there are some aspects of the developer's acoustical report that are quite concerning. The only test done on the roof was to measure the ambient noise in order to provide a baseline against which to measure the future sound equipment volume. From that perspective, the report recommends that the volume be capped at 85 dBc with the cover open. What this establishes is that the operator plans to operate the rooftop dance club with the cover open and believes that restricting the volume to 85 dBc will avoid unreasonable noise. The volume recommendation is based on a difference between ambient noise and noise generated, where the ambient noise test ended at 12:30 a.m. But the request is to operate until 4 a.m. I looked it up. 85 dBc is about the sound level of common powered tools, loud enough to be tiring and potentially harmful if you stay in it for a full workday without protection. So to put it in plain English, the developer is proposing an establishment that will produce a noise level comparable to common power tools and which would require ear protection if it were part of the workplace 30 feet from my bedroom window at 3:30 in the morning. This is simply not reasonable. And let's remember, we are talking here about a late night dance club atmosphere on a rooftop. Isn't the literal point of such a place thumping bass with the roof open? Wouldn't that be the fundamental appeal to would-be customers? When the core commercial appeal of an establishment is in direct conflict with community interests, the risks are elevated. We ask that this proposal be assessed in a computerized manner now in order to avoid protracted disputes after the fact.
Excuse me, sir, time is up. Thank you, good timing.
Thank you for your remarks. And just for everyone, in case it wasn't clear, the topic of this and the next few statements will be on Resolution 4U, which is on our agenda tonight, regarding liquor licenses for the Gramercy Park Hotel. Next person speaking on this is Caitlin Macy. Caitlin Macy is a resident of Manhattan Community District 6. Caitlin, are you here?
Yeah, hi.
All right, Caitlin, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks on this topic. You may begin now.
I also live at 1 Lexington Avenue across the street from the Gramercy Park Hotel. During the last iteration of the hotel, a rooftop bar opened with a retractable roof that played loud music into the morning hours. This despite the fact that the hotel stands in an entirely all sides residential neighborhood. Unsurprisingly, the bar was the cause of many noise complaints to 311 and just as many direct complaints to the embattled front desk staff of the hotel. In 2023, I read that the hotel had been sold to Mr. Morse's MCR group. I wrote to you all to inquire as to whether CV6 has any guidelines in place for rooftop establishments the way, say, Community Board 5 does. And I received an email back from Mr. Rafferty to the negative. I then also in September of 2023 wrote to Arlene Harrison in her capacity as head of the Gramercy Park Block Associates, expressing the same concerns. She urged me to put my concerns in a forwardable letter, which I did. I never heard back. So when renovations started, I phoned the New York State Liquor Authority myself and was told they had the application from MCR for multiple additional bars with long, and by long, I mean until 4 a.m, opening hours. The man I spoke to explained that they take their lead from the community board's support or lack of support for any given project. So in April, I wrote to CV6 expressing my concerns, and my letter was read out loud at the limited hearing on April 24th. At hearing, Ms. Harrison never told any of her constituents about, despite regular emails about far less pressing issues, such as Samuel Ruggles' birthday. He's the guy who designed Gramercy Park. Even if you view this through the most charitable lens and chalk it up to oversight, it remains the case that at the actual limited hearing, Ms. Harrison, in an apparent attempt to undermine my concerns, is on record dismissing me as an irrelevant complainant and suggesting that she had successfully muzzled my complaint, saying, quote unquote, that situation is under control. I have only 3 minutes to speak, so you might be asking yourself why I would take the bulk of the time revisiting a fact that many of you already know, namely that Gramercy Park Block Associates does not reflect the views of the constituents it purports to represent. The reason is that there's a ripple effect. At least one member of your board is on record at the April hearing saying that the support of the Block Associates for the hotel is quote unquote the most important thing in his decision making. The State Liquor Authority in turn has cited the community board's support as the most important thing in their decision making. Therefore, the fact that at the limited hearing, actual tenants who live on the park were not represented demands a return of the proposal to the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee for re-review. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those remarks. Next on the list is Samuel Albert, a resident of CD6, this district, who wishes to speak on this matter. Mr. Albert, you have 3 minutes. You may begin now.
Good evening. My name is Sam Albert. I live at 39 Gramercy Park North and have for 20 years. I'm also president of the board. I would first like to thank the Transportation Committee members for working to help find solutions to the traffic issue facing us on 21st Street because of the construction at 38 Gramercy Park North and the closing off of the traffic and bike lane, aggravating an already poorly passable street. While disappointed with the lack of any meaningful assistance from the Department of Transportation, the Transportation Committee's insights and efforts are greatly appreciated. Second, I wish to comment on the action being considered for the Gramercy Park Hotel by the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee. I am certainly glad that the structure is being revitalized after so many years of standing empty, but I'm very perturbed at the process by which the licenses for the hotel are being considered. There was a single notice in the door of the building whose sidewalk is not only covered with scaffolding, discouraging pedestrian traffic, but also an active site for the disposal of debris from the building. This hardly seems to be an effective way to solicit meaningful community input. I and my neighbors are concerned about the proposed changes, both indoors and outdoors, as well as the number of licenses being requested. While a bar and restaurant are certainly appropriate to a hotel, as service and convenience to guests. The planned 240-person quote speakeasy unquote in the basement, as well as the private club on the roof and the large sidewalk cafe, are clearly intended to draw outside patrons. The effect that this will have on the quiet residential neighborhood of Gramercy Park can be nothing but detrimental. Lexington Avenue and 21st Street are both poorly suited for the increased amount of late night vehicular traffic these plan changes will bring. Further, as the license is being requested for 7 a.m. to 4 a.m., I am worried about late night disruption of patrons might bring. None of these issues were raised at the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee meeting. Indeed, anyone there who purported to speak for my neighborhood certainly did not solicit my opinion or, to the best of my belief and knowledge, those of my neighbors. I therefore request that the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee halt consideration of the license applications. I ask that they reopen consideration of the application and have the opportunity to hear from the entirety of the neighborhood. That indeed is the purpose of such meetings. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is John Moore, a resident of Manhattan Community District 6. Mr. Moore, are you here?
I am. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I live at 44 Gramercy Park North, and I have 3 generations in this building. My 90-year-old mother lives in this building. I have raised my family in this building for the last 25 years, and my son, who has also written a letter alongside mine. I want to concur with the great comments made by my fellow neighbors in the Gramercy Park area and express my opposition not only to the proposed idea of a rooftop nightclub, outdoor seating for multiple bars, as well as the wine bar that I understand is part of the 38 Gramercy Park development. Effectively, the result of these liquor establishments at the hotel on the outside, plus a club, as well as the wine bar, will turn 21st Street into a corridor of bar establishments from Park Avenue all the way to 3rd. And I clearly wonder why that is necessary, and also what it will do to the historic character of our neighborhood. Gramercy Park is one of the most important historic establishments, neighborhoods, and gifts to the city of New York. And we are turning it into a bar corridor, okay? That is a tragedy. It is the responsibility, not only the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee, but this community board to review this rigorously and incorporate the views of the neighborhood, as well as the historians who value and want to preserve the character of this neighborhood, to seriously consider if we need to transform this great historic jewel, not only for the city of New York, but our entire country, into a bar corridor. We have plenty of liquor establishments on Park Avenue. We have liquor establishments and bar alternatives on 3rd. What we are proposing to do, I think, would forever transform and lose the character of the neighborhood. And so I concur with my fellow neighbors who have expressed their opposition to the idea of a late night club on top of the hotel, as well as the outdoor bars and the wine bar at 38. Thank you very much. Please reconsider and establish better due process, both at the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee, as well as the Community Board process. We, the neighborhoods and New Yorkers, do not need this.
Right, thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Sydney Stein, a resident of this district. Sydney Stein, are you here? All right. You have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Thank you. I'm also a resident of 39 Gramercy, which is the corner of 21st and 3rd. And basically, this will echo the comments made by the other people who've spoken on this. We are already inundated with bars, nightclubs, the establishments on Park Avenue and 3rd Avenue. Not commenting about the noise from the music, but I think you also have to worry about the noise from the traffic with these establishments being open until 2:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure street traffic will be very heavy with Ubers and limousines. There have been incidents, thinking about a bar that was on 22nd Street between Park and Madison. Frequently the patrons of these places will use the street as a bathroom or relieving themselves of some of the after effects of drinking for all hours in the morning. So independent of the noise from their music, which I certainly think will be serious, I think we have other consideration of the street noise and the traffic as well as public safety. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Abigail Mellon, a resident of this district. Abigail, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
My name is Abigail Mellon, and I'm a resident of 44 Bremerson Park, a neighbor of John Moore's. I speak to the issue of these licensing for restaurants and bars at the new hotel. I too am opposed to granting licenses, particularly for activities for the outdoor seating, drinking that is proposed that is downstairs to the Main Street restaurant at the new hotel. And I particularly want to draw attention to the charter for Gramercy Park, when it was drawn up in 1831 by Samuel Ruggles. He specified that it was to be an entirely residential neighborhood, and that the park itself was to be entirely residential, and there were to be no commercial activities on facing the park. And this facet of the original charter for Gramercy Park has been reiterated and confirmed by the Landmark Commission, the Landmarks Preservation Commission. There was an earlier request to open a wine bar at 38 Gramercy Park in 2020, and that request was turned down. That request for a bar license was turned down for the reasons of the preservation of the neighborhood and the reasons of the Landmark Commission had continued to recommend that the charter of Samuel Ruggles be observed and be respected. So I too think that the request for a license for liquor licenses, particularly for restaurants that are going to be at street level, should be returned to the licensing commission for reconsideration, and the community board should adamantly oppose the granting of a liquor license for any outside activity at the hotel. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Louis Mayer, a resident of this district. Louis, are you here? Louis Mayer, going once, going twice.
He is here. I'm promoting him to a panelist. But he is here. Okay. You should be able to speak.
Hi.
All right, Louis, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Thank you for promoting me here to, I guess, to panelist. I guess my question is more about the way that the hotel is intending to deal with individuals that are either waiting outside of the prior hotel. Like, to step back, the current developers of the hotel have an existing property in the city that has meshed quite well with their neighborhood on the west side of town. This Gramercy Park Hotel previously had nightlife operations in this neighborhood and did a pretty decent job of managing the flow in and out of patrons, largely by keeping most of those patrons inside and managing them within the lobby of the hotel. And just love to understand and raise for the consideration of the board thoughts around how that would be managed under the current management. The concerns raised by the prior speaker are relevant from a historical perspective, obviously, and the method in which residents are affected by both vehicular traffic and foot traffic and noise from revelers in and out of the nightlife establishments, I think are manageable, but would have to be handled carefully if they're to be done well, as it relates to how the hotel manages patrons in the neighborhood.
Thank you for those remarks. Next person on the list is David H. Johnson, a resident of this district. David, are you here? Yes, he is. Mr. Johnson, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Thank you. My name is David Johnson. I live in Lexington. I've been on the board of the building and lived in this building for 25 years. Our concern about this project was not conveyed by the Gramercy Park Block Association at the April 24 meeting. For 100 years, we've shared the corner of 21st and Lexington with the Gramercy Park Hotel, and we hope the hotel and One Lexington will remain great neighbors. We're impressed by MCR and its ambition to build a 5-star hotel. However, we have serious concerns about the impact of the hotel on the Gramercy Park Historic District and our building. We're worried about noise, crowding, and other problems. This isn't a boutique hotel with a cafe. Proposal is nearly 200 rooms with 5 bars, 93 outdoor seats for eating and drinking, a large rooftop club, and a 200+ person speakeasy and cellar. If licensors are approved as proposed, this hotel could unleash on our residential neighborhood a serious public nuisance. There are 3 concerns. One is the rooftop club and the noise adequately discussed by other speakers. Second is the outdoor dining and drinking, which never existed before. The request is for 93 seats with service from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. This is unprecedented and not practical within the property line. Plans don't account for pedestrians, fire department access to sandpipes, technical requirements for servers. Third concern is the cellar speakeasy, again, never existed before. We're worried about queuing and congregating to enter and exit. This is a dance club and not in keeping with the Gramercy Park area. We ask that Community Board 6 should require conversation between MCR and neighboring buildings in the weeks ahead. Thereafter, a refined plan should go back to your business affairs and licensing committee. The time to determine what's reasonable is now instead of dealing with noise and other complaints later. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Brian P. Manning, a resident of this district. Mr. Manning, are you here?
I am. I'm on Zoom.
All right, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Hi, Community Board 6. Thank you for taking my statement. My name is Brian Manning. I'm a resident of 1 Lexington Avenue. I'm writing in regarding this item of the liquor licenses for the Gramercy Park Hotel. Let me first say Gramercy Park Hotel holds personal significance to me. I proposed to my wife in Gramercy Park. We were married at the hotel and years later moved across the street. Before its closure, we often hosted colleagues, friends, and family at Myalino, the Rose Bar, and GPH was our choice for out-of-town visitors. As a local entrepreneur, I support a revitalized GPH that fits the neighborhood ethos. That said, we have serious concerns about the significant deviations from the prior operations, including large outdoor seating serving liquor from 7 in the morning to 4 a.m. in the morning, a new subterranean nightclub, open roof events till 4 a.m. The plan lacks details to avoid negatively impacting the quality of life in an otherwise quiet residential area with schools and places of worship. For example, nothing about limiting sidewalk footprint, seats, liquor serving hours, protocols for avoiding sidewalk gatherings, waiting for nightclub access, soundproofing, retractable roof closing during night events. We don't believe these concerns were adequately addressed upon reviewing the replay of the April 25th Business Affairs and Licensing Committee meeting. We hope Community Board 6 will lead in resolving the disconnect by requiring immediate conversation, ideally between the developer and the representatives of the directly neighboring buildings, to discuss and align on a resolution to these issues, and to send this back to the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee for review. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is David Bernstein, a resident of this district. Mr. Bernstein, are you here?
Yes.
All right. Can we get a mic to him?
Thank you for the opportunity to say how much we welcome back the Gramercy Park Hotel, but not one with these plans. This redevelopment represents a major shift for our community. While the Gramercy Park Hotel has long been part of the area, what's now proposed is not simply a reopening. This is something new, a full-scale nightlife and entertainment complex in the heart of the residential community. What we do know has been spotty and frequently changing. That uncertainty has fueled chatter about private donations or backroom arrangements with the Gramercy Park Block Association. This all may reflect how little reliable public information input there's been so far. To that point, plans appear to include a rooftop with retractable roof till 4 a.m., another 200-person plus speakeasy, described areas as a private members club or for public, outdoor exceeding 10 feet along both Lexington Avenue and 21st Street. This isn't just hospitality, it's volume. For example, a members club adding traffic not only at night, but during busy afternoons, midday drop-offs, deliveries, member lunches. Taken together, the venue's hours and sidewalk activity represent a scale out of sync with this community. Many of us generally appreciated the way the previous hotel operated. The staff were friendly, the doorman respectful, the atmosphere generally quiet, neighborly. It was part of the block, rarely disruptive. But even then, the rooftop alone caused real noise issues, especially late at night. The bar on Lexington Avenue often drew lingering crowds, snake past residential entrances, double parked cars, and patrons loitering into the night. We've seen what strong community advocacy can accomplish. The Gramercy Park Block Association proudly recalls that its advocacy with the former Cobalt Club, citing the need to protect residents from disruption. It's as if this was moved, but perhaps this isn't about opposing change. Indeed, I'm proposing some. It's about shaping change in a way that strengthens the neighborhood rather than overwhelms it. As the community develops, and it must develop in the best traditions of the values CB6, and particularly the Gramercy Park Association purports to protect. In its own words, to promote public safety, crime prevention, historic preservation, and quality of life. In that tradition, development shouldn't mean disruption. It should mean growth that fits the context and investment that represents the people here. To cite Jane Jacobs, cities have the capability of providing something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everybody. This isn't about opposing change. Change should be done with, not to, the community.
All right. Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Robin Brenner, a resident of this district. Ms. Brenner, are you here?
I am here.
All right, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Okay, first of all, thank you for this platform for me to be heard. This is very it's a very emotional, heartfelt thing. I'm living in Gramercy Park for 40 years. I live at 4 Lexington. I've been next to the Gramercy, so I've been here for quite some time. My apartment does not abut that building. I would be kind of like across the courtyard. My life suffered so because of the music coming from the Gramercy Park Hotel. I even had their sound people in my apartment. My windows were shaking. If they so need to have music that travels, I would like for them to maybe give us some city windows, something that would help me with the sound. I see patients. I'm in the health field. I see patients at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there were days I went to work just stressed and distressed. I can't tell you how many times I called the police, 311. I called the hotel, and you could just tear your hair out when you're just falling on deaf ears. So I hope that tonight I'm not falling on deaf ears, no pun intended. But please, please hear us. This is just, and this is no environment for a DJ. This is Gramercy Park. It's a gem. It's a treasure of your neighborhood. So please, let's preserve that. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Jane Studley, representing Sage House. Ms. Studley, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Hi.
you have 3 minutes. You may
Okay.
begin now.
Okay. Hi, thank you for everybody listens to me. I'm the new residents moved to this area because I think this place is really beautiful and I love the history story. So I like the peace. And if the wine bar, they open until 4 in the morning, I think it really affect our older people's life. And many in our building, many people, they heard it, they were open until 4 in the morning. Everybody was upset. That's my most in concern about it. Rest that I agree, all the before the people, they said we have to keep this area. It's beautiful and prosperity because they have you have some control about it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your remarks. Next on the list is Sean Brady, who represents the Gramercy Park Block Association. Mr. Brady, are you here?
Yeah.
Mr. Brady, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
The chairman of the Quality of Life Committee, Gramercy Park Block Association. I just want to say, first of all, in reference to the comments about how the Block Association approached this, we approach this the same way that we approached every bar that's been proposed in our neighborhood. I've been personally going to the Boston Committee or the now Business Committee meetings for pretty consistently for about 15 years, other than for a couple of years during COVID. And in fact, the people whose concerns about nightlife on Third Avenue, we've been actively fighting new bars on Third Avenue since the 38 Gramercy Park North bar that we fought, and I was one of the leaders of that. So I'm very sensitive to the issues of nightlife in the neighborhood. I'm also personally sensitive to the issues of noise from the rooftop of Gramercy Park North. I was probably one of the people who called 311 most because I'm in 24 and the sound from the rooftop came directly out to me. So like I said, we approached it the same way that we did with any other provider. When Tyler Morris, we found out that he was taking over the hotel, we approached him. We approached him with concerns of the community. Chelsea's concerns, for example, are being solicited and forwarded directly to him. And they did something that no bar has ever done when we approached them in the same way. They commissioned an acoustical report and they suggested actual upgrades to their sound system that will limit the amount of sound, the volume of their stereo throughout the hotel at any time, even if a DJ or a staff member wanted to turn it up. And they put that in their stipulations for the license. So satisfied with the interior, right? We also looked at the sidewalk. The sidewalk itself, there's 2 parts. They have to get a liquor license, but they also have to get a game license with the sidewalk. So that's going to be discussed at a future Boston Committee Business Affairs and License Committee meeting. And we'll all be, interested in exactly how that goes. The most important thing for us was the replacement of 2 really bad operators, Davey Rosen and Steve Greenwald, who ran the Gramercy Park Hotel as a nightlife attraction rather than as a hotel. We looked, as we always do, at the proprietor, proposed proprietor's history, and we looked at the hotels that NCR has in New York, and they have no complaints. They have fitted into the neighborhood, as somebody else has mentioned. Very nicely. This is they're planning to cut the number of rooms. Someone mentioned 200 rooms. That's down from nearly 400 in the previous hotel. So that's also going to be a good impact on traffic in the neighborhood, which I think will largely offset the increase in traffic from the bars that they'll have in the hotel, which prior bars had the prior hotel had bars, and they were very raucous, as everybody knows. So we approached it the same way we did. Reached out to the proprietor. Our concerns were discussed and met, and we presented our conclusion at the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee here, as discussed. I think everybody's concerns, everybody's been.
That is time.
and I completely understand that. And, I understand
That is time.
The one person that suggested that I want to pay off, a hotel developer, who I never even met until we lost the meeting, I really want to say, you'll be hearing from my lawyer.
All right, next on the list is Donald Bernstein, representative of the applicant in question. Mr. Bernstein, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Donald Bernstein. I'm the attorney for Tyler Morse and MCR Development. First, I want to thank the Business Affairs Committee for its unanimous support of our application and the tremendous enthusiastic endorsement from the Gramercy Park Block Association. The association, in doing its due diligence, has recognized the tremendous importance of reopening this iconic hotel and expressed their complete confidence in Tyler and the MCR team. I have been practicing in this area of law for many, many years, and I have rarely seen such fervent and passionate support from a community organization as we have here. This hotel has had a liquor license for 90 years. It has had a stream of owners over the past 60 years or so. MCR, the current owner, is the third largest hotel owner and operator in the country, with a portfolio that includes the TWA Hotel at JFK and the Highline Hotel at 10th Avenue. It is probably the most qualified and experienced hotel owner and operator in the Gramercy Park Hotel's history. Prior owners of the past 25 years that have apparently created some issues with the community have included nightlife operators such as Stephen Greenberg, boutique hotel operators Ian Schrager, and real estate entrepreneurs who are not hotel operators. MCR, however, has a long history of owning many, many hotels throughout the country and will be operating a 5-star hotel. We met with your Business and Affairs Committee last month. We complied with all of their requirements. We posted notice of the meeting on the hotel front door in Lexington Avenue. We sent a photo of that to the Community Board office. We completed the questionnaire, including all the operational issues. That was all before the committee. In fact, as someone noted, the committee had a letter in opposition to the application that was discussed. The concerns were discussed, so the committee did do its job. In terms of anyone missing that meeting, you also, as you know, post your agenda on your website. Anybody in the community that is concerned always can check that website and know that a matter is being discussed at a committee meeting. Tyler attributes great importance to the character and quality of his hotel operation. It is not a dance club. This is not a nightclub. The hotel has had a 4 a.m. license going back to at least the 1980s, if not earlier. Towards that end of ensuring the quality of the hotel, he commissioned a full acoustic study by Alan Firestein, who's the preeminent sound acoustician in the city, well known to the State Liquor Authority. That exhaustive study was provided to your committee, and it includes 2 pages of recommendations to ensure that the sound will not negatively impact neighbors. And even as important, if not more important, you have to keep in mind that right below the rooftop and above the restaurant are guests paying upwards of $1,000 or more maybe for guest rooms. And the last thing any experienced operator such as Tyler Morse would do is shoot himself in the foot by creating
That is time.
that would disturb them. Thank you. We thank you.
Right.
We hope we have your support as well.
All right, thank you. We have now gotten to all of the speakers who duly submitted registrations for the public session by the deadline for tonight. That concludes the speakers list for the public session.
Okay, moving on. Minutes from the April 9th full board meeting were distributed to board members by the board office. If there's no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the April 9th full board meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. We are saying goodbye to 4 members of the board who will be greatly missed. They have made amazing contributions to our community. And those 4-time board members will be moving on to serve the community in other ways. David Lowenstein, who joined us in 2023, is moving and going on to other things. Livia Shrednick is not available to join us this evening, but has promised to come back to say goodbye the next month. Majed Abdul Samad joined the board in 2022 and has been a huge influence on our Land Use and Waterfront Committee, but he will also serve as a public member of that committee, so he is not going away. Susan Steinberg joined the board in 2006 and has served on many of our committees, most recently as the calm experience voice on the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee and the Land Use and Waterfront Committee. Susan has generously agreed to stay on as public member of our Land Use and Waterfront Committee to help us with our advocacy for the Beth Israel site. Susan wanted to say a few words. Susan?
You're muted.
You're muted, Susan.
Thank you very much, Sandy. It really has been a very quick 19 years. Some of you may remember this name, but when I joined in 2006, Lyle Frank was the chair of the board. He went on to become a judge. And the district manager was Tony Carlina, whom Jesus supplanted. So I've been around. And I know that when I first joined, I thought, oh my God, it's such an august body, and they deal with such significant issues. And what was the topic of my first meeting? Curb cuts. And I thought, oh, well, but I went on to learn that there are issues big and small. And this community board, any community board, is really the first line of defense and of protection for the people who live here. It's really a very important job. I've learned a lot, and I've made some great relationships. We have wonderful people, both new and old or older, on the committee. Our electeds are really first rate and their staff are terrific. So I've enjoyed everything. Like an old soldier, I'll just kind of quietly fade away, except for Land Use and Waterfront. And I'm thank you very much for allowing me to say this goodbye.
We're going to miss you, Susan.
I have her on my committee.
Yes, some of us are lucky enough to join the committee she's on. But welcome to the 8 new members. I would like each of you to give a very brief introduction and let us know one important thing we should know about you. We're not going to use the timer, but you can see that we appreciate brevity at this point in the meeting. So first off, we have Liz Burr. I think Liz is online.
Yep.
Yes, I am. Here I am. Hello.
Okay. Hi, so one thing you'd like us to know about you.
Let's see. I have been living in Kips Bay for 16 years in the same unit, and I've been a renter this whole time, but I really love the community.
Great. Okay, thank you. And brevity was good there. Daniel Bernstein.
Everyone.
Whoops, we need the mic or they won't hear you at home.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Daniel. I've lived in the district for 1.5 years now. And I'm passionate about environmental issues and sustainability in the city.
Great. Kate Kennedy. Wait for the mic or they won't hear you.
Thank you for the folks on Zoom. I'm Kate Kennedy. I was really surprised, but really delighted to be able to join this board, and I look forward to learning and working with all of you or some of you. And I have 3 kids, so I'm most interested in making spaces for them to play.
Okay, Will Perry.
Will Perry. I work in housing and financial coaching, and so both of those things are really important to me. But all of the stuff is really important to me, so I enjoy working on them.
Great. Well, yeah. Omer Quershi, who cannot be with us this evening, traveling, but it was short notice, so thank you for everybody who did come. Kat Valero. And Kat's already attended a meeting in person.
Way to call me out.
We lived in this neighborhood for almost 10 years. So, you know, it's something I aspire to. And one fun fact, yes, I did go to committee meeting for this, but I am very, very invested in healthcare justice. So that is the committee that I was eager to invest in. More next time. Thank you very much.
Great. David Woods.
Yes, my name is David Woods. My spouse told me to listen more and shut up. Basically, I'm very passionate about livability and developing cities. I'm an urban planner, so it's cities and planning. Thanks.
And Sua Zhao.
Hi everyone, my name is Shuya and I'm a resident in Skytown. I work as a preservationist and I look forward to working with everyone here. Thank you.
Great. We will be holding training sessions for the new members soon. I'm not sure we've got a date yet, but definitely that's coming up. A very brief report. The State Gaming Commission is holding a, excuse me, is holding a virtual public scoping session on the draft scope of work for the Freedom Plaza Casino proposal.
Oh, God.
On May the 20th, which is next Tuesday. It's from 5 to 7. It's virtual, but we do have a resolution against locating a casino on this site, which is First Avenue between East 38th and 41st Streets. So we will be preparing a response based on that resolution. But the public is also welcome to submit their opinions. And the office will send that information out to everyone.
It's on the CB6 website now, on the homepage and in the events page.
And it'll be in the e-blast coming out later this week.
So do let anyone know who's interested in giving some testimony. It can be written or I believe.
The written testimony is actually due on June 3rd, but the verbal testimony is next week on Tuesday.
Okay, and there's a lot of documentation that's associated with their proposal. So it's good to read through, understand what it is, and we'll move on from there. The other thing is we will have our first meeting this week with the Department of City Planning and our elected officials on locating affordable housing in Community Board 6. And this is part of the Spark ULURP agreement. So it's our first meeting with them. Our district manager, Jesus Perez, will now give a report.
Thank you. Welcome to all the new members and welcome to all the members of the community who are here on issues that they're passionate about. In the interest of brevity, I will say one thing. If you are not signed up for our newsletter, please go to our website and sign up. It is the best way to be informed about all the meetings that we have coming up. Or bookmark our website, and you don't have to look at it every day, but every once in a while, take a look, make sure that there's nothing on the agenda of one of our meetings that you are interested in. But please take some of our flyers, go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. You'll be glad you did. Thank you.
Yes, definitely welcome. It's nice to see some the seats filled in our in our meeting. We've now arrived at our committee reports and resolutions. A reminder that the same rules stated at the beginning of the meeting apply. Members of the public, please note that during this section of the meeting, we only recognize questions from members of the board. The CB6 staff emailed the digital ballot to all members. Please click on the link in your email to go to the ballot, select your name from the drop-down list, and select your vote on each resolution as it is presented. Do not submit it until later in the meeting after the final resolution has been presented. The assumption would be that you're going to listen to the discussion and then vote. At the end of the meeting, please submit after you've indicated all your votes on your ballot. You will not be able to submit the ballot unless you vote on every resolution. If you plan on abstaining, you can select abstain, but an abstention counts as a negative vote. Final vote counts will be announced after the second roll call. If any part of our voting procedure is unclear, please raise your hand and we can address it. It'll be a bit interesting maybe for the first time for the new members, but anybody who needs help, please feel free. Okay, first up is Land Use and Waterfront. Gabe Turzo, Vice Chair.
Okay, hello everybody. I will try my best to make this quick. We are culminating our water club process here. We're asking for a park at the side of the water club, part of our ongoing beautification of the waterfront. We're asking for an interim activation that can be done quickly. While EDC plans something more substantial, we're asking for safety features, neighborhood amenities, interaction with the water, a bit of elevation, and most importantly, a self-contained public toilet. Any questions?
Okay. If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot. Okay. Next up, Gabe.
Okay, this is the disposition of 455 First Avenue. This position of City of Man to 455 First Avenue is incorporated. This is really pro forma. We already supported the project, and I urge you to support it. This is just
And we'll actually be voting on this at Borough Board tomorrow, if it passes.
and we passed the same thing unanimously for Smart, previous one.
All right, if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your ballots. And do you have a report, Gabe?
Actually, I was going to talk about the meeting on 5/20.
Nada. Oh, sorry, that's not yet.
I waive my report in the interest of time. Good evening. We have a couple resolutions from transportation tonight. The first is a request for a no parking sign that's currently located in front of 39 Gramercy Park North. We're asking DOT feedback from the residents and the board of 39 Gramercy Park North. We're asking for that sign to be relocated about 40 feet west. Right now it is, east. Right now it is to the left or west of the fire hydrant, and it is basically a situation where people believe they can park in front of the fire hydrants. We're asking for it to be moved outside of the fire hydrant, no parking area, so that it's clearer and hopefully avoids illegal parking from the building in front of the fire hydrants.
Okay, if there's no objection. Oh, I'm sorry. Sandra Leftop has her hand raised.
Yeah,
Sandra?
hi. I thought somewhere it said they wanted to make the no parking 30 feet. Did I get that right? It wasn't just about the fire hydrant, but it was having a fairly decent amount of space.
So they originally came to the committee, there was, their main concern was, asking for, to make it clear that there's no parking allowed in front of the fire hydrant. So there was originally a request for signage, no parking signage, when they came to the committee, but after discussing with DOT at the committee, they didn't feel that no parking signage was appropriate, and we reached a compromise of moving the existing sign that has parking regulations, to better clarify the parking situation for the hydrant.
So it's just about the no parking sign. It's not about increasing the space. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, this is just about moving the sign. It wouldn't change anything with the.
Okay.
Regulation case. We do have the next resolution though, does pertain to some parking regulation changes. But that's unrelated to this one.
Okay, but just my comment is, all we keep doing is losing public parking space. And that's very problematic because the cost of not having that for the middle class is a disaster. So that's my comment.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, Larry.
This just occurred to me in reading this summary and listening. I'm just a tad confused. Are we describing the area in front of the fire hydrant and what parking regulation is applicable there?
So the current sign, forget exactly what it says. I believe it designates the street cleaning hours and the meter parking. So we're asking for that time to be moved to the other side of the hydrant, so that it's not confusing, that people believe that they can, that area in front of the parking, the area in front of the hydrant is subject to those
open hours and, regulations.
Okay, so we need to be,
I
I
don't-
think we need to be clear that the parking regulation in front of a fire hydrant is no standing, not no parking. And, 15 feet on either side of the fire hydrant is a total of 30 feet, no standing.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your ballots.
So the next resolution we have is in pertains to the same block, same corner, but a slightly different issue. So the residents of the neighborhood have been coming to the last two transportation committee meetings to express concerns they've had around construction at 38 Gramercy Park North and concerned with congestion and amount of vehicles that will be potentially blocking the roadway and have been blocking the roadway. Related to the demolition and forthcoming reconstruction of 38 Gramercy Park North. In order to address their concerns about traffic on that corner, we are recommending that the Department of Transportation temporarily restrict parking on the north side of that corner to temporarily not allow parking basically from that fire hydrant to the corner. It's approximately 3 parking spaces to allow for vehicles to be able to get through that area while there's construction vehicles.
Anton?
Yeah, isn't Gramercy Park North in that area all no standing period?
Much of the block is, the block that we're requesting to change does have meter parking. There's 3 meter spaces on the corner, but west of those, pretty much the entire block is no parking. Residents, and I have observed, that those signs are largely ignored by folks using parking placards, primarily the NYPD precinct that's down the block. So while there's technically no parking on the block, it is almost always so.
So. I'm curious, so why law, there's not supposed to be parking there, should be enforced. Sign's not gonna help because people not having, get a ticket, for instance. Well, the Department of Transportation is not, enforcing the no parking. Whether you put more signs up, I don't think it's gonna make any difference.
Well, so just to be clear, there is, parking is allowed in this area where we're asking for it to be changed to no parking. It's meter parking today. I share your concern that it will be ignored though.
We try.
And it can't be enforced if there's no signage indicating as such.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other questions on this? Okay, all right. If there's no, oh, I'm sorry.
Jason.
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot.
And while you're doing that, I have a brief report. I am very excited that the Queensboro Bridge pedestrian path will be opening on the south roadway of the bridge on Sunday. Entrance at 9 AM. I will be there, joining me walking across it. So this, the committee and the board has been advocating for this for some time. It's been about 3 years in the making, so I'm excited to see this finally coming forward. Also, the city council has been considering a universal daylighting bill. This is, effectively would, restrict parking, at intersections, that there would be no parking allowed within 20 feet of an intersection, to increase visibility, for, pedestrians in the crosswalk and make the intersection safer. All of our, the city council representatives, Councilmember Powers and Councilmember Rivera have co-sponsored this bill. And there was a hearing a couple weeks ago at City Hall on this, and I was able to testify in support on behalf of the board, given our recent resolution in support of that. Also want to update on sending a note to the Department of Transportation to request seatings and all boulders to be installed at the plaza in Phipps Bay at Second Avenue and 32nd Street. We recently met with the board from Phipps Bay Towers. They were in support of activating the space. And so we've gone ahead and asked DOT to
help make that space a bit more robust and usable. And then lastly, the committee is extremely excited that DOT is planning to present to us on a protected bike lane on Third Avenue in our next month meeting, and that will be covering the area from 59th Street south to 24th Street. This is also something the committee is asking for its time, and we're excited.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Stu Desser, Chair of Public Safety and Sanitation.
Thanks, Justin, kind of present the first resolution.
Yeah, I think we're not doing a sign on it.
And just if anyone would like to see any of the visuals that go along with the resolution, we do have them, but I thought in the spirit of the time, if there were any questions, we might just proceed.
Questions on it?
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your ballot. And for the visuals, you can always watch the Zoom of the Public Safety and Sanitation. There's some interesting images that have been done.
And we have a second resolution on the agenda. At the time that the resolution on discovery was reported out of committee, the governor had been holding the state's budget as a hostage in a quest to force the legislature to make substantial changes to the law and evidence. After negotiations, the governor lauded the changes, but when the text of the legislation was released, it was obvious that the legislature held firm, and the amendments are quite modest. To agree then the language of the resolution was superseded by events. The committee might still want to support some complementary legislation and legislation that would help both district attorneys and defense counsel. And the committee might also want to voice position should the governor's proposals revivify. So, Madam Chair, I seek unanimous consent to recommit the resolution to the Public Safety and Sanitation Committee.
Any objection?
Are there any objections? Seeing none, please. Go ahead.
I waive the floor.
Okay.
For those of you regarding your ballots, just mark whatever for that resolution and we will strip it out later.
All right, next we have Business Affairs and Licensing. Anton Mullner is chair.
Bundle A, L, M, and N, which are all alteration. The SLA for sidewalk dining. All the restaurants in question that comply with all necessary paperwork, that do have sidewalk cafes, that they do need to have this alteration licensing. As we all know, you may have a liquor license for selling wine, beer, cider inside, but as soon as you put up an outside vending area, either on the sidewalk or on the roadway, you have to get an alteration license from the state liquor authority. We have no problems. These are all unanimously approved by members of the committee. And I would suggest that this is the best way to handle those particular alteration licenses.
So just
What were the ones again, please?
A, L, M,
and
and
N.
Okay.
And so for the new members, we quite often do this if it's something that's not contentious, we just bundle it, and if there's no discussion, just go ahead and vote.
I'd like to also make a resolution to bundle B through K, which are all sidewalk cafe license. We recommended approval in our voting. They all fill up appropriately the DOT requirements in terms of schematics and the other questions regarding distances from the curb and number of seats. We had no issues with that, and they were all voted unanimously by the committee to be granted.
Which one?
Sorry, we have, Kevin, your hand up.
Quick, I think you did a second parliamentary, so I second both.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. But then, Kat, you had a question?
Yeah, as a new member and clearly did not hearing, I did look up the sidewalk cafe policy. I'm just curious when we're saying bundling, everything has been that law, is it a temporary situation or is it long term? And as such, you kind of define a little bit what businesses can do. Or if that's something to be held at the next meeting and do that.
Well, Anton can explain.
Yeah, the reason we ask for bundling is because all these are non-contentious, no problem, and they all refer to the same kind of approval. Sidewalk cafe license or alteration license from the state liquor authority. The sidewalk cafe licenses are recommendations for approval to the Department of Transportation, which has purview over sidewalk cafes and roadway cafes. B through K are all sidewalk cafe licenses. All the appropriate documentation was sent to the DOT, which does send it to us with, unfortunately, very little time to review them, but we do review them all, and they're very comprehensive, and it's a step up of what they were doing in the past when the pandemic hit us. These types of sidewalk licenses and roadway licenses are far more temporary and far more aesthetic to the neighborhood.
So yes, this is a long-term license, but they have submitted documentation. And if you're interested in the documentation, you can go back to the Zoom of the meeting. And it is discussed.
Point of clarity, I did.
Oh, okay.
And it was the question about longevity, like how long, or is this long-term?
How long is the license for?
4 years.
4 years.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to bundle O, P, Q, R, and S together. These are applications for liquor licenses. We reviewed them all, and they're all unanimously approved by the committee members. And they're all restaurants which we are familiar with from the neighborhood. Again,
Okay, we have a second.
none of them had any complaints or anything.
All right, so please go ahead and mark your ballots.
Now, on E, resolution of no comment regarding an alteration for wine, beer, and cider license. The Chicago Incorporated doing business at the Ryan Diner and Grill. Situation came up that we had looked at this at not the last meeting, prior meeting, and found out that their liquor license had expired. So we couldn't approve or recommend an alteration for an outdoor cafe license for selling liquor if they don't have an original license to begin with. We found out the same day that we were meeting that the state liquor authority had granted them a liquor license for their restaurant. Since we didn't have enough time to really get into this, we felt that we didn't want to not give Orion Diner a long time restaurant in the neighborhood no confidence resolution. So rather than approving, we send this no comment to the state liquor authority. And again, this was unanimous. We had no issues. We like the Orion Diamond Grill. The only problem is that their license took out the recent, but apparently oversight was allowed to lapse. But it is now in order, and we would have no issue with an alteration application.
Larry?
Clarification, you mentioned that they received an approval for a full liquor license.
Well, they already had one, it was lapsed. And between our March meeting and the special meeting we had yesterday, they were able to regularize that as of yesterday morning.
And so as of this evening, they have a full liquor license.
Yes, they do.
And this resolution.
Like a wine
refer
license.
To the full liquor license.
No, this refers to the alteration.
So I'm
Required.
What are they going to propose to operate on the sidewalk under their full liquor license?
It's a wine license.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Okay, but in other words, the full on premises liquor license, or is it a wine license? This is
Wine, beer, and cider.
okay, and that's what's been approved.
Right.
Okay, is there a possibility of an amendment so that we could be consistent with the status quo and support it?
There's a tight timeline on that, and we spoke with the SLA on this about what they think about this language. And they're perfectly fine with it.
Because I'd be happy to move for support resolution support.
Larry, I don't think we need to. I think we can just proceed the way the committee has agreed to do it, unless there's, any particular benefit to that. I'm not sure there is. And Tom, would you prefer to proceed?
State liquor authority basically said, okay, no problem.
So, but it's not a concern then. Okay, thank you.
Okay, last one is a resolution of objection for new application temporary retail place for on premises liquor license for Gramercy Park Hotel LLC and Gramercy Park Hotel Tenant LLC and MCR Property Management LLC DBA to be determined at 2 Lexington Avenue, 52 Gramercy Park North. DBA to be determined at 2 Lexington Avenue. I know we had a number of comments from members of the community. I also read all the letters that were sent to the office this afternoon after 3 o'clock. I respectfully submit that we did our due diligence. I feel the hotel operator is a great operator. So did the committee. We had 2 members of the community representing that this would be a good thing for the community as a whole. And the hotel operator appears to have done all due diligence in terms of sound. And I'm somewhat familiar with that area. And quite frankly, while you might not consider Lexington Avenue a restaurant corridor, if you go to the other side of the park on Irving Place, every building has a restaurant. So I'm a little concerned that residents feel that this will change the character of the neighborhood. I know that the National Art Club has more than 150 events every year, in which there are people coming in and out on Gramercy Park South. So I feel, and the committee felt, that the hotel will be an addition to the neighborhood and that they would operate under the current laws of the State Liquor Authority and DOT, which, by the way, has purview over sidewalk and roadway cafe at the SLA. Yes.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Justin?
See Saunders.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes, I'd like to speak to that rooftop bar. I live on Gramercy Park, and I lived with that for years. It was a horror. I cannot tell you. I could not believe this at this meeting. It might come up again. I guess over COVID, it was gone. It was an ongoing horror every weekend. The disregard for the community, the way it disrupted our lives, the noise. You can't have an open bar and think there's no noise. I couldn't believe how far the noise traveled. 311 didn't do anything. Nothing did anything. We live with that. the thought of it returning is a horror. These community members showed up because they have lived with it. I live with it. And all I could say, it was an unbearable experience. The arrogance, the sense that this is a commercial district, which it is not, the sense that nobody cared about the residents, the sense that you had kids, the noise started, it went on, the thought of it going till 4 a.m., 11 a.m., it was 11 p.m., it was unbearable. But that would be, all I can tell you, it was a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. So to make that parallel to the National Arts Club, irrelevant. It's an irrelevant comparison. All the places on Irving, nobody violated the privacy, the respect for the neighborhood, the way that hotel did. I'm sorry, it would be unbearable if we supported that.
You're talking about the prior owner of the hotel, not the current owner.
I understand that, but you give people a license and you hand away power that you cannot believe, and noise travels, and or whatever the music was, they were blasting it. These folks who spoke knew what they were talking about. To suggest we now have godsend. I'm a little bit cynical when it comes to that kind of, commercialization. Go make people accountable once you've signed it away. It's an interesting dilemma. Okay? I can only tell you what 311 did, which is nothing.
Your comments.
Well, I wanted to just, we spent a lot of time, handling this, application, and, I was under the impression, I think most of us were, that we addressed the issue of noise, so we talked about it, probably for 20, 30 minutes. The impression that I got was that in the past it had been a concern, but they were going to, I'm pretty sure that we discussed the fact that we want that noise would be limited.
Yes.
So, and also, I just.
What's your control mechanism? Not to be cynical. How do you control it once you start it?
Sandra, please wait till you.
I know, I'm
recognize.
sorry.
Thank you.
Wants to go. Yeah,
While the rooftop bar is open, there's also an enclosed area that covers the rooftop bar.
Okay, so I'm gonna go on the record again. I didn't think I had to this week, but here we are. There's issues around these licenses that we're running through committees, and I know you guys are doing it's a hard job. There's a lot of things you have to do. But I heard from a lot of folks today. I'd like to think I'm listening to the community, and it seems this rooftop bar is a big part of this. Can't we go back and talk to these people again and bring these people in? Let's have a conversation, because we're just alienating an entire neighborhood to an establishment that could actually, and they have admitted, could be very good for their neighborhood. So to me, it's more how we're doing stuff. Maybe not how it ends, but anyone who's even walked past a rooftop bar, come on, knows what that means. So I'm just on the record that I think there's an issue with this resolution. I think we need to hold off, get more conversation, bring in the owners, have a meeting. Let's get a win-win so everyone feels good about this project. That's how things get done, and that's how things are successful. So that's me on the record.
Is Mr. Bernstein still on? Yeah, Don Bernstein?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yes, I am.
Attorney.
Donald Bernstein, the attorney.
Yes.
He's here. What?
I don't think he's.
He's here. He is here.
He's here.
Keith, Kevin.
Yes, I'm here.
Sorry, Kevin has his hand up, please.
Thank you. The word relevance was mentioned, but it's relevant, and I know that the committee knows this. It's a Freehand Hotel. They have a open air bar restaurant. They serve drinks to a certain hour. We went down this road before where we made sure that the noise was mitigated. We know we heard from somebody who lived right across the street. So I think there's a case study here to pretend this is the first rooftop bar. Not only is it not the first, The other one is what, 4 blocks up Lexington? Can we address that, Anton? Because again, there's a lot of due diligence and discussion going around, and I believe they're now in a happy space there. Thank you.
Anton, do you want to say?
Well, I thought the sound, report that was made by this, expert laid out very clearly that the sounds that would be coming from this rooftop bar were about or less than the ambient noise of the streetscape. So, I'm a little confused as to, we shouldn't conflate what happened 4 blocks away with what's happening over here, what happened 5 years in the past.
I think what Kevin's saying is that we actually dealt with a situation where there were complaints.
Yes.
And managed to have it be acceptable to the community.
And the proprietors did set up sound barriers, did give, thought to not playing music after a certain time. And we didn't have any issues for years.
Sorry, we're in discussion up here, but Stu, do you want to say something?
When I heard the speakers tonight on both sides, I thought that they were willing to have a dialogue that they didn't yet feel they had. I would like to make a motion, but Anton, I'm gonna ask you to comment on this first. I would like to move to recommit this to your committee and to let all the parties engage in it.
And
All right, I seem to feel, again, from the letters I've seen over here, that it only emanates from 1 or 2 buildings around there, not the rest of the neighborhood. And I'm sorry, it's 2 Lexington, 7 Lexington are the primary letters that I've received.
Excuse me, please, if we could just have quiet for a minute.
44 is 1 block away.
Okay. All right. I would like to recommend that we ask for a discussion between the community and the hotel owner. And I understand that the next bulk meeting has an extremely long agenda. So we don't necessarily want to burden them, but if there can be this meeting, and I know that, I'm pretty sure that the owner of the hotel is willing to speak with the community. They have done that. So we can ask them to meet with the community and come back, just have a brief review of this at your next meeting.
Right, and you're right, the owner did meet with the.
So let them meet
Rest-
with, let them meet with the
community
rest of the community. Huh?
I just want to add some procedural information as the former business affairs chair, when all of these issues originally were being dealt with about 10 years ago. And, coincided with, COVID when finally shut down, so this area's been closed for about 6 years now almost. A vote tonight doesn't automatically give the license to the applicant. There's still a point where the city council has to vote on it. So I think we have enough information tonight to actually vote on this and can have the stipulation. I think, Mrs. May, let me finish, or listen to you, I didn't say anything. Let me finish my thought, please. Where we can take the vote on it with the information that has been presented. If you want to say no, say no. If you want to say yes, say yes. But we can ask for a stipulation, Mr. Bernstein is here as well, that any positive vote has to include consistent dialogue with the residents, not a one-off, consistent dialogue with the residents around. And I agree with Kevin, we've had this issue in the past where we've actually gotten it to a place where if people misbehave, we brought it back. So I think we have the ability to do that. I think the vote that we take tonight does not preclude a meeting between the residents and the business operator themselves. You can have that independently. We can have that be a stipulation in this resolution as well. So if you are committed to that, if you, as you have mentioned, that you want to have that conversation, we can stipulate that right now and vote it in the affirmative to make sure that if they do not meet with you, if they do not have that, then that resolution is void. So I would suggest that in order to make sure that it's accountable to everyone and that everyone's interest is being represented.
And
Can I ask a question?
I'm sorry, this is just for board members. Oh, are you a board member? Sorry, I didn't.
I'm sorry about that, but having done this for many years, that's useless. Because unless you have them before we make the vote, nothing is gonna happen, even if they do meet. So the teeth is, if they come, bring it back, I know you guys are all busy. Put it on, actually do what they asked, because I thought, and I think that makes sense. From a newbie's perspective, that's done this for 40 years. The only way to get a real vote and a voice from us to the city council is if we understand the real issues and that they do it. I don't think they understand the real issues yet, because they're not communicating to the whole neighborhood. And even if it's a block away, that doesn't matter. That's just my question. I
Okay.
know I'm supposed to shut up, but. go ahead.
Okay.
So we'll let Kyle respond, just.
Yeah. No, so I totally understand, and I'm just kind of giving a little example of, being the business official and the chair of the board previously too, about how strategically that we can do this to make sure that it actually moves forward in an appropriate way. But I think also at the root of this too, and this has been mentioned before, is that we can't hold applicants to the sins of former operators. I think that's a big issue here, is that a lot of these issues are with a former applicant, a former operator. And to set a precedent, but let me finish, sir, let me finish. Thank you.
Please, this is a discussion for the community board. Thank you.
To set a precedent where we're holding new applicants who have had nothing to do with the issues that you've experienced. And I'm not saying that your issues have not been experienced. I think we have all recognized that and we prioritize that in this resolution and with this new applicant. And we're willing to put it in writing that this needs to be proactive, this needs to be preventative, and it needs to go forward in a way that is responsible to the community. But the root of a lot of these comments are because of the previous operator, and to set a precedent where we're holding new businesses in an area when we're talking about empty storefronts, vacant buildings, and why aren't they being filled up? It's for reasons like this, where we get good operators. This operator has operated hotels in this district, top-notch hotels, and have shown that they also do that.
We can't.
Sorry.
Excuse me, please.
I'm a board member. And so that's why.
Okay, if we have to, we'll empty the room. Please, let us have our discussion.
And so I would just urge the board members to keep that in mind, that while there are issues that exist, is not with this applicant who's before us, who has committed to not committing the sin first.
And if I could just recommend that we have a motion on the floor to alter the resolution.
I will second Kyle's motion.
Okay. And then we need to vote on that. And then I think after that, we will vote on sending it back to committee.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I keep raising my hand and I think you don't see it.
And we do see it. We've got lots of hands raised, but we're going to move ahead with a vote on whether we are going to alter the existing resolution or not. Okay, so let's, I think unfortunately, if we can do a show of hands, that's the easiest. If it's close, we'll.
The amendment.
The amendment is to alter the existing resolution to include a stipulation that the owner must meet with the residents prior to the vote by the city council.
Why can't we table this? I'm sorry. At this point, with this degree of.
We've had this motion presented. If this does not pass, we will vote on tabling, or not tabling, but sending back to the committee.
Can I ask what city council vote is there? This is a state liquor license, so the city council has no role in this.
So the city council gives approval, don't they? Don't they vote?
for dining out NYC applications, but this is a pure,
State,
this is a
okay.
pure liquor license. So the city council is not going to weigh on this.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's vote on whether we'd like to have this sent back to committee and have a discussion with the community and the operator. Potentially, we could arrange it, but it does not have to be at our committee meeting. And we make sure that happens and we will vote on this at the next meeting. So do we have a second for that? Okay.
second Stu's motion, send it back.
All right, so if we could have a show of hands, all those in favor
Sending it back.
of sending it back and to have a discussion, okay? With the committee, with the operator prior to coming back to our committee.
I just wanted to clarify this.
Okay,
What we're voting on now is to do what? Send it back to the committee?
Yep.
Send or that the operator will be required to meet with the community.
and then come back to the committee. So we are sending it back to the committee with the stipulation that the operator will have a meeting with the community prior to our meeting.
Because it's not gonna happen in the committee because we
Right.
just can't.
We've already done that. Okay, we're clear on what we're voting on? All right, do we need a roll call? Is it too close?
It would be easier to do, it would be better to do the roll call.
Okay, let's go for the roll call.
Okay, I will call the names. In favor, opposed, abstain. Tanya Arias.
In favor of turning it back to committee.
Okay, in favor means you want it to go back to committee.
Yes.
Opposed mean you want it to stay here to vote on. Kyle Thide,
Opposed on a vote.
okay. Neil Barkley,
Neil, you're muted.
Yep, got it. Okay, yeah, in favor of sending it back to committee.
And just say in favor, keep it short.
okay.
Brevity.
Marty Barrett,
Opposed.
okay. Elvie Barroso,
Opposed.
okay. Daniel Bernstein,
Opposed.
okay. Liz Burr,
Opposed?
okay. Jim Collins is not here. Stu Desser,
Favor.
okay. B. Dismond is not here. Maya Donahue, okay. Robert Barfan, he is not here. Barack Friedman,
Opposed.
okay. Jason Fromowitz,
Opposed.
okay. Eric Goldberg,
Opposed.
okay. Justin Goldberg,
Opposed.
okay. Gloria Hage, in favor. Okay, Rabia Iqbal is not here. Paige Judge,
Opposed.
okay. John Keller,
Opposed.
okay. Rupal Kakad,
Not here.
not here. Kate Kennedy, okay. Nadim Kalani is not here. Katie Landa,
In favor.
okay. Sandra Leftoff,
In favor.
okay. David Levy,
Not here.
not here. Anton Melner,
Opposed.
okay. Sandy McKee,
In favor.
okay. Alec Militek,
Opposed.
okay. Rich Mintz, are you here?
No.
I don't see you. Kevin O'Keefe,
Opposed.
okay. Reshma Patel,
In favor.
okay. Steve Perez,
In favor.
okay. Will Perry, okay. Omer Qureshi is not here. Mariam Ralph,
In favor.
okay. Michael Ann Rowe, are you
Not
here?
here.
Okay, not here. Larry Shire,
Opposed.
okay. Ann Seligman,
Not here.
not here. Sandra Sherrod,
In favor.
All right, Mubin Siddiqui,
In favor.
okay. Letty Simon,
In favor.
okay. Mark Thompson,
In favor.
okay. Gabe Terzo. Okay, Kat Valero,
In favor.
okay. James Vera,
In favor.
okay. Jerry Weinstein,
Opposed.
okay. Sarah Whittington, okay. David Woods, okay. Shuya Zhao. Okay, let me tally these up. Comparing with you. What is this?
It's a tie, no.
Looks like a tie. Sounded like a tie.
All right, nearly 20 members voted to send it back. 19 voted to keep it here.
Whoa,
So it goes back.
by the skin of our teeth.
But let's be clear, it's not, this discussion is not happening at the bulk committee. It must happen outside of that committee. They've spent a lot of time, heard a lot of comments already. I don't think we want to do that. So we will try, we can organize a meeting. Okay,
Yeah, we can organize a meeting. Yeah, the current agenda of the next bulk committee meeting is looking at 35 plus items. So unless you guys want to be there for like 5 hours, it's probably better to do this in a separate session.
and Justin wanted to have,
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing, which is, these bulk meetings, you know, we spend almost 3 or 4 hours every month in these. This specific issue, we spent a long time with it. Firstly, these meetings are always open for anybody to come to, so, people should, and including board members here, should be coming to these and, you know, not necessarily having such a strong opinion 3 weeks later, if they haven't reviewed it. And you know, Anton, I just want to give respect to you that, you know, these meetings run so smoothly. They're 3.5 hours, 4 hours long, and I just want to express appreciation for it.
and I think the assumption is that this will come back in favor. Because we understand that it can be worked out. It's not you know, we're probably not going to change our opinion about this particular issue, but we understand that there should be a dialogue. Whether it happens before or after, I think is really the issue.
I am disappointed because the meeting was put up on our website. There was also a sign very clear, front door of the hotel with the DOT and other signs that this meeting would be held at that particular date and that members of the community are invited to make their comments. There were only 2 members of the community that showed up.
Understood. So let's move on to our next resolution.
Sadie.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah.
Add to that being. Sarah Whittington, Wall committee member. I also want to echo what my members of the committee, the co-members of the committee have said. We spent a lot of time with this. And it was an issue that we talked about, and the point I would like to make to our community is, yes, we are listening, but you need to come to us, and how you do that is to go online, look at what the agendas are, be in your community and talk with other people. And that would have been helpful for seeing. Of course, this is 2020 hindsight, but on the other hand, we have responsibilities to take care of. And as community members, we should know what's going on with our community boards and all of these committees.
All right, members, on your ballot for this item, mark whatever you want. We'll strip it out when we get back to the office.
Okay, Anton, your last resolution.
Oh,
How is the community the town and vice versa?
Contact the community board, please. Contact the community board.
We'll reach out to the operators and try and find a date that works for them, and then we will let you all know what we can arrange.
That would be much appreciated. Thank you.
One resolution, as we all know, we've been having issues with the Office of Cannabis Management, the way they run their business. And some of our most contentious meetings, the bulk, have to do with cannabis licenses. What the Office of Cannabis Management proposing under their public conveyance and cannabis is to reduce the distance between cannabis establishments from 1,000 feet from current regulations to 500 feet.
Yep.
There's been a lot of pushback in the community about having legal cannabis shops in our community. Never mind having cannabis shops that are less than 500 feet away. So we felt as a committee, in order to limit the number of cannabis shops in our community, a 1,000-foot radius rule should continue to be in effect and not be reduced to anything less. The other issue that is not here, I just want to raise it so that we're all aware that the rules regarding distance from houses of worship and schools seem to be put in the minds of the Office of Cannabis Management, and we will hopefully address this at one of our bulk meetings so that there is more clarity in terms of distance of cannabis dispensaries from schools and houses of worship and other public conveniences.
Are there any questions? If not, if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your ballot. Do you have a report, Anton? Watch the website, that's the.
Opposed, in favor, what you guys, I'm just, in favor of me, what you guys are recommending.
Have you read the resolution?
Yeah.
Then if you agree with it, you're in favor. If you disagree with it, you're opposed. Okay. Moving on to budget and government affairs. I believe Stephen Perez is going to be leading this one. He's the vice chair.
Turning it over to Roshan for the resolution.
Thank you, Steve. So the first resolution is regarding preserving the tax exemption of municipal bonds. The capital requests that you see in our district needs statement are funded through the city's capital program, which is primarily funded through taxes and bonds. And in the federal budget reconciliation bill, there is discussion that they would get rid of that, and that would increase the cost of borrowing for these capital projects that we have by up to 30%. It, would range, but it could be as much as that. In the last time they had the tax bill in 2017, they got rid of our ability as a city to refinance our debt, which we used to be able to do. So now we're already doing that on a taxable basis. And in a recent deal that New York City did in April, they had $1 billion of tax exempt bonds, which had a rate of 4.3% on 10 years, and the taxable issue, which was also $1 billion a week later, had a 5.3%. So you're seeing almost 1% increase in costs there. So we wrote this resolution today. The House Ways and Means Committee actually didn't include it in the reconciliation bill. That's the first step, but we'll monitor it, and we wrote this resolution, so we're presenting it, and we want to send it to our professional.
Are there any questions? If there's no objection, we'll vote on the resolution, and please mark your ballots.
It's actually 5B, just.
Yeah.
No, it's the second resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5B, yes.
I'm sorry, I have to go, so. What?
Okay, certainly, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so this is 5A? Coming up.
5B.
Oh, sorry, you're voting on 5B, but 5A is now.
5A is next.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead.
Great. So, 5A is simply a pro forma. Every year, we receive a citywide statement of needs from the city, basically saying what changes that are gonna need in public facilities across the city. So it's just, we have no objection to any of the changes that are coming in.
Any questions? All right, seeing no questions, please vote on the resolution. And you can now submit your ballot. All right, any report?
Yes, very quickly, because it's very important. There are 2 charter revision commissions that have released interim reports. We are going to study them before our next meeting, and we'll be discussing them at our next budget and government affairs meeting. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that we have received the responses from the OMB in regards to all of our budget requests. So thank you, Brendan, for updating the Airtable. All of the updates have been made, so every committee should go there and look at the responses that you've received to your budget requests and make any changes or dialogue, engage with the city officials as needed.
And Stephen, will anyone from the committee be making testimony at the next sit at the next charter meeting?
So I wrote up testimony for you to submit, yes.
Okay.
So.
I'm hoping you're Elizabeth.
So because we earned our tight deadline to submit testimony to the Charter Revision Commission, based on everything that we've already written up in resolutions and budget requests, which included increased funding for community boards and having the city help community boards find space for our public meetings. I wrote a testimony for Sandy to submit, and that will be submitted this week.
Okay, great. Tanya.
I don't know if I was supposed to do this or not, but I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning in Germany, watching that land use charter commission, and I didn't submit testimony as a person to it, because it was interesting to watch.
We submitted testimony to the mayor's charter revision. Gabe presented it. So as a board, we've done that. So definitely participate as the public, please. Youth and education, John,
Go quick.
Yeah.
We held a meeting, we passed a budget request, and the committee will continue to meet later this month. Thank you.
Okay. Parks, Landmarks and Cultural Affairs, Neil.
Hello. So we had no meeting in May, and then we would just say this weekend coming up will be it's my park day. So throughout the district, all the different parks on Saturday, you can go and volunteer. On Sunday, we'll be in the East Park of Stuyvesant Square Park. If you'd like to volunteer. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Dude.
I don't know if the gentleman who presented earlier about green space is here.
Yes.
Is, but Neil, I believe he said that you could not request, a resident could request trees. And I remember filing, an application online with the Department of Parks to request trees on the street. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, you can go online and request a tree. And I would just say it's a process, but yeah, you can go ahead and you can request one.
I mean, I was just there, you can't, there's a drop down, but then it's like grayed out and says you can't request.
They just stopped.
Yeah, they actually have stopped that process.
Okay.
So that's they're talking about an urban forest, but in our district, we have to locate trees in other places besides on the street. So that's one of the things that it's one of the things that I think the Parks Committee is going to be talking about in the future. Anything else new? Okay, we'll move on to housing and homelessness and sorry, Larry.
Neil, in the East Park, Stuyvesant Square, the fountain hasn't been running for several years. Do you have an update on that?
Say that one more time. East Park, Stuyvesant Square.
Fountain has
has not been operating for several years.
Yeah,
Found is operating.
Yeah, so I know there's some issues with water there, and we will talk about that in June. We're going to just talk about the different parks in the district that have water and that need water. But that's been a problem for a little while. You know, we can ask the Parks Department if they have an update on that, or at least see what the status is of where it is.
Okay, housing and homelessness, we have a bit of a change in this committee. Rich, has decided he's going to step down. He's been a great chair for a long time and he's passing on the baton. So Alec Militek is going to be our new chair and, Sandra Leftoff is our vice chair. So, yes.
I just thank Rich for sharing the committee. It predates my time on board, so thank you, Rich. I'll keep it short. We have been working on a housing study. It's been an ongoing thing for the past couple months. If you'd like an update or to understand kind of the status and the progress, please attend Monday's meeting. Thanks.
Yeah, Rich was at the pet ER today, he said, so hopefully it went well. Health and environment, Alvi Barroso.
Good evening, everyone. So in our meeting last week, we had the Harness Expertise of Licensed Professional Act, which is a new bill that expands the categories of mental health professionals who can conduct clinical examinations and make decisions about involuntary mental health treatment. The bill defines two new categories of professionals: the qualified clinical examiners, which include psychiatric nurse practitioners, psychologists, and clinical social workers. And the other categories of professionals include the previous group, plus additional newly defined professionals who can make critical clinical decisions for involuntary hospitalization and perform various functions previously restricted to physicians. We also had a presentation by a doctor from NYU Langone Health on stroke awareness, signs of stroke, and what to expect in the emergency department and treatment of stroke. And we also started discussion on how to bring new healthcare facilities in our district. And one possibility is having a micro hospital, which is a short-term acute care hospital that focuses directly on community needs and operate within a compact clinical and administration framework, basically to address community needs in our area where patients may have overcrowded options for acute or emergency care at hospitals in our community because of the MSBI closure. And in relation to this topic, Brad Korn will come in our June Health and Environmental Committee meeting to describe what health services will be available for our community now that MSBI has closed. So please come to our meeting in June. Thank you.
And just to clarify, Brad Korn is from Mount Sinai Beth Israel. He's been our liaison previously. Great. Thank you.
Very quickly,
Neil, please submit your ballot.
I had promised Dr. Eric Lee, who's the new CEO of Bellevue, as a representative here of the Bellevue Community Advisory Board. He wants it known that he would like to speak as long as possible. And Sandy, I know he's been in touch with you or his office, but he just wanted to be known that he would like to speak to this community board about Beth Israel and other issues. So he will be here.
I've invited him for May and June and he can't make it.
He feels bad.
Okay. Board members, if you have any old or new business to state, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no new business, Justin will now conduct the second roll call.
Members will now call you for the second roll call. If you don't submit your ballot, please do so now.
Okay.
Tanya Arias,
Present.
Kyle Tay.
Present.
Okay.
You're good. It's fine.
Neil Barclay.
Present.
Martin Barrett.
Present.
Elvie Barroso.
Present.
Daniel Bernstein.
Present.
Liz Berg.
Present.
Jim Collins.
Not here.
Stu Desser. Beatrice Disman.
Not here.
Maya Donahue. Robert Baraban.
Not here.
Ross Friedman.
Present.
Jason Cromwitz.
Present.
Eric Goldberg. Justin Goldberg here. Gloria H. Rabia Iqbal.
Not here.
Gage Judge.
Here, present.
Rupal Kakad.
Not here.
Sean Keller.
Present.
Kate Kennedy. Nadine Kalani.
Not here.
Katie Landa.
Present.
Sandra Laptop.
Here.
David Levy.
Here.
Anton Molnar.
Present.
Sandra Key.
Present.
Alec Militic. Richard Mitz.
Not here.
Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Rishma Patel.
Has left.
Stephen Perez. Will Perry. Omer Rishi.
Not here.
Mary Rao. Michael Ann Rowe.
Not here.
Laura Shire.
Present.
Ann Seligman.
Not here.
Sandra Sharon.
Present.
Mubin Siddiqui.
Present.
Letty Simon.
Letty, are you here? We do need your ballot.
She's muted, but she's here.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can. Would you like to give your ballot orally?
Yep, it's very easy this week, in favor.
In favor for everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can,
and, yeah,
You can do that?
yeah, I can take care of that.
Okay, thanks.
okay.
Mark Thompson.
Present.
Gabriel Perzo. Pat Valera. James Zera.
Present.
Jerry Weinstein.
Present.
Sarah Whittington.
Present.
David Woods. Shuya Zhao.
Okay, just give me a moment while I record Letty's votes. It hopefully won't take me too long.
Once that ballot is recorded, we will tally up those votes very quickly, and we will announce the final votes of the night.
Got math.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Yeah, it's a long one tonight.
And then follow for all.
Okay, I just submitted it. Hopefully it'll show up.
It does. All right, thank you. All right, here's the final vote count for tonight. Resolution 1A passes 38 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions, 1 not entitled. Resolution 1B passes 37 in favor, no opposed, no abstentions, 2 not entitled. Resolution 2A passes 37 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention, no not entitled. Resolution 2B passes 36 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention, Resolution 3A passes 38 in favor, 0 opposed, no abstentions. Resolution 3B was referred back to committee. Resolution 4A passes 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions. Resolution 4B, 36 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention. Resolution 4C, 37 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention. Resolution 4D, 36 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention. It passes. Resolution 4E, 37 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention. It passes. Resolution 4F, 37 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 abstention. It passes. Resolution 4G, it passes. 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions. Resolution 4H, it passes. 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions. Resolution 4I, it passes. 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions. Resolution 4J, it passes. 36 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 abstentions. 4K passes. 4L passes overwhelmingly. 4M passes overwhelmingly. 4N passes overwhelmingly. 4O passes overwhelmingly. 4P, same thing. 4Q, same thing. 4R, same thing. 4S, same thing. 4T, same thing. 4U was referred back to committee. 4V overwhelmingly passes. 5A, 39 in favor, unanimous. 5B, 39 in favor, unanimous. And that is it.
Yay.
Back to Sandy.
If there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting at 9:51. Thank you all.
Oh, wow. Good meeting, Sandy.
I'm sorry.